So I'm so happy to be here. And to get us started, I just want to get to know a little bit about you guys and, who's in the room. So I wanted to start by just asking who in the room is an artist? It can be visual arts, writing, performance, visual arts, whatever. All right. And how many of you work with arts organizations as a staff member or as a board member? Look at that. Almost everybody in the room. And how many of you just go and see art or experience art maybe once a month or more? Also, a big majority of us. So, what we're going to be talking about today is that the art in your life is already having a health impact. Whether you're doing it, you're making it, you're seeing it, you're organizing it, it's already having a health impact. And by the end of this talk, you're going to be able to communicate the health impacts with confidence. You're going to be able to see them very clearly in your own arts activities as well as in other people's arts activities. You're going to be able to recognize them when they are happening, and you're going to be able to strengthen them. We're going to talk about how to strengthen the art impacts that are already happening. But first, just a little bit about myself. So I've been co-creating arts activities with arts organizations for over 30 years. That means I've been working in nonprofit spaces. And I'm also an artist, and as you heard, also a yoga instructor. So I've had a lifelong interest about the intersection of arts and health. And we do art and healing, a lot of art and healing programs at the Arts Center. We work with people who are formerly houseless veterans. We work with people who are re-entering community after incarceration along with their families. We work with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. We work with school kids. So we have a number of different programs that we work with that are in the art and healing space. But one thing that I want to talk about is one of my own personal experiences with art and health, one that is deeply personal. About 3 years ago, I had a reoccurrence of T cell lymphoma. And as part of my treatment, I had to get a bone marrow transplant, which means being in a hospital room for a month, not feeling very well. So I was a little nervous about this. I decided to reframe it as a hospital artist residency because I'm a working artist. It's a month. I'm going to make art in a hospital setting. Super. So this is my desk. This was where I was in the hospital, where I made art. You can see my art supplies, had a couple books. Even in this picture, I have an art on the table that I was working on. And you can see that I had a really not so great view. So interestingly, one of the first things I did was I made my own views. I made new views for myself for the window, different things that maybe I would have liked to have seen out the window, just to like kind of, offer myself a different viewpoint. And also, I asked permission from my doctors and my nurses, but as you can see, I hung the work up on the wall. I hung it up with tape that you usually use to tape like different kinds of tubing to patients' skin. That is actually what the tape was. I had to ask for the tape. I hadn't thought about it in advance to bring some. But it was great tape because that's actually kind of low sticks. I could put it up on the wall. I could take it down, no problem. And I made a lot of art. I made a lot, and I just hung it on the wall. You can see there's the statement of patients' rights right there on the wall. My art was like hanging all around it. I was also dancing. So I would dance. I would have a dance party in my room once a day. And the staff thought that was hilarious. So I painted a lot of dancers while I was there and kind of made their shadows dancing with them. And the doctors and nurses were just so interested in this. They would come in and they would start talking to me. And if they brought somebody new into the room, they would tell the new person what I was doing. And this was awesome for me because it distracted me from feeling bad about being sick. It kind of lifted up my emotions because we were talking about me and my art. That made me very happy. And also, it made me have a human connection with my care team. And let me tell you, I am so happy that I had bone marrow transplant. I hope none of you in this room ever have to have one, nor your family members have to have one. You feel like a medical experiment. They are taking your vitals all the time. They are giving you pills to increase the water in your system, and then they're giving you pills to take out water in your system. It is constant. It's like being a lab experiment. So being able to have these personal connections with the doctors and the nurses was really important to me at the time. And it was so great because like one nurse came in with her phone, and she was like, my dad makes art, and I went home this weekend, and I took pictures of his art so I could share it with you. And so she was sharing pictures of her dad's art with me. So it was this really lovely connection that I was making with the care team. So the health benefits of my art experience were emotional well-being. It lifted my mood, helped distract me from the negative things that were going on and really pay more attention to the positive. It was reducing my stress. I didn't, have as much time to be worried about, what could be, what could happen. And it allowed me to make those social connections. Three very important things to me during that experience. So we're going to do a little experiment together, just really quickly. Um, just so we can kind of like also see if we can feel how art makes a difference in our lives. So I'd like to start with you guys just scanning how you feel right now. Do a little body scan, do a little mental scan. Maybe you hit traffic on the way here and it was really irritating. I don't know, and you're still thinking about it. Just kind of like clock it. We're going to start with a poem by the wonderful poet pictured here, Mary Oliver. And I ask that everyone to like say this poem together because she really empowers us to love what we love and to be in our place. So we're going to say this poem, call and response. I'm going to say a line and then you're going to say a line. I'm going to point to you. Okay, ready? All right. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
You do not have to be good.
You do not have to be good.
You do not have to walk on your knees.
You do not have to walk on your knees.
For 100 miles through the desert.
For 100 miles through the desert.
Repenting.
Repenting.
You only have to let the soft animal.
You only have to let the soft animal.
Of your body.
Of your body.
Love what it loves.
Love what it loves.
Tell me about your despair.
Tell me about your despair.
Yours, and I will tell you mine.
Yours, and I will tell you mine.
Meanwhile, the world goes on.
Meanwhile, the world goes on.
Meanwhile, the sun.
Meanwhile, the sun.
And the clear pebbles of the rain.
And the clear pebbles of the rain.
Are moving across the landscapes.
Moving across the landscapes.
Over the prairies and the deep trees.
Over the prairies and the deep trees.
The mountains and the rivers.
The mountains and the rivers.
Meanwhile, the wild geese.
Meanwhile, the wild geese.
High in the clean blue air.
High in the clean blue air.
Are heading home again.
Are heading home again.
Whoever you are.
Whoever you are.
No matter how lonely.
No matter how lonely.
The world offers itself to your imagination.
The world offers itself to your imagination.
Calls to you like the wild geese.
Calls to you like the wild geese.
Harsh and exciting.
Harsh and exciting.
Over and over announcing your place.
over and over, announcing your place
in the family of things.
in the family of things.
So now that was really beautiful. It's a beautiful poem. I want you just to spend a few more seconds scanning your body again and see if you can note any differences. This method is a core concept of the Alzheimer's Poetry Project. It's a concept they use, call and response, and it's been studied. It's used for people with Alzheimer's and their caregivers. It's been studied and it's been found that it has positive impacts on behavioral regulation, on self-expression, on a feeling of personhood, and on a sense of agency. So just that, sharing a poem back and forth has those benefits, those impacts. We're going to talk a little bit more about research now, but don't worry, because at the end, I'm going to have a QR code. You're going to be able to scan it, and every bit of research, including what I just talked about, it's going to be there for you so you can take it home, you can look it up, you can learn more about it. So 2019, the World Health Organization did a scoping review of 3,000 studies about the health impacts of art. Not art health programs, just how art benefits health. What they found was that it supports mental health, it supports emotional regulation, it reduces anxiety and depression, it improves our mood, and thus our quality of life. So this means it supports across our lifespan, and it means that it helps and supports our health from prevention through well-being, through treatment and care. And I think what's really interesting, I'm going to quote directly from the paper, is they say the evidence says art participation can affect mental health, physical health, social connection, aging, childhood development, caregiving, and quality of life. This does not mean the arts replace medicine. It means they belong at the table. And there's several studies that really do exactly what this says. It really shares the same kind of impacts. One of my favorite is a University of Chicago report called Outcomes of Art Engagement for Individuals and Communities. This is such a great picture because here you have all of these kind of intergenerational folks together in a room making art. This is what happens in my life all the time. I love this. It's so exciting to see. And why is it important? Because arts can address loneliness. It keeps us from being socially isolated, a problem that we all have these days, especially post-COVID. It helps get us out of our homes. It helps us meet each other so that that kind of loneliness epidemic can really find a solution right here through arts activities. And this is important for community health, which is really interesting because the connections that you make in these social spaces become supportive of you. So what they found in Chicago, for instance, is that during a heat wave, people who have strong arts participation have fewer deaths because of heat waves. Why is that? Because people are checking in on people. Simply that, because of these connections that we've made through arts. So arts benefits your health directly, but it also helps you indirectly through the community that you build so that the community can support you and that you can support others better. This is a website that I encourage all of you to go to if you haven't yet, thenoah.org. The NOAA is a members organization. They're the National Organization for Arts and Health. They have a lot of research available. And not only that, they offer webinars so that you can jump in. You can hear from professionals directly who have done these studies in a variety of different places, whether it be universities, hospitals, or arts organizations. And it's a small group of folks, actually. It's not a humongous group of people. It's actually kind of a small sphere of people. So when you join NOAA, I'm a board member and a past president. I can let you know that you're going to meet people who are pioneers in this field, whose names you've seen published already. You're going to be able to talk with them, share with them. It's a really good community. So I highly recommend that you go and check out the NOAA website, see what opportunities are there. And also the NOAA has a conference every year. This year it's in Rochester, New York, which is not too far. It's drivable distance. So check out the conference schedule too. That's in October. So take a look. Keep it as an idea of a place that you can find your own community around arts and health. Here's another study, because I'm going to share with you, because one of the things that I wondered as somebody who helps co-curate arts activities for people is, what are the mechanisms that are happening in the classroom that are making these health changes? Like, I really wanted to know, like, what is actually happening? This is a report that Daisy Fancourt just recently published in Nature. It was published in March 20th, 2026. And it lists, I know you can't see it, but this is the actual graphic, 50 mechanisms underpinning the mental health. So this is just mental health, but the mental health impacts of arts engagement. There are 7 you can see the different colored wedges. They all fall under 7 headings. One of them we're not going to talk about today because you have to have a lab to really see it. And most of us don't have labs to see things. That is the inflammatory and epigenetic markers. It's kind of that small wedge right there. Art participation, it turns out, does make inflammatory and epigenetic changes to your body. You might know this because it's very popular right now. People keep on sharing it with me. That May 11th, there was a new article by Daisy Fancourt, the same person behind this, demonstrating the epigenetic changes of art and cultural engagement. And what she found, this was a UK participation study, what she found was that arts and cultural engagement was comparable with the effects of physical activity. So exercise and arts and culture, same epigenetic results, same epigenetic benefits. So in the article, she says this makes an argument for inclusion of the arts in public health strategies because of these deep health benefits. But we're not going to talk about that wedge any more than I just did. We're going to look at all the others. So I'm going to pull them up one at a time. First, we have emotion and emotional regulation, right? So this is the kind of thing I was making positive emotions in my hospital experience, right? Distracting from negative emotions. So you keep those emotions at a higher level than you would otherwise. Second one, sense of self. Increased autonomy, self-awareness, meaning making, people making meaning of their own life experiences. Next, cognition. So cognition, this is really what sometimes when we're really deep in some kind of arts activity, we get into a flow state. So this is really referencing that flow state. Also, have you ever had an experience where you got an arts experience was so powerful that you got goosebumps or kind of like chills? That's also what is under cognition. So it's those peak transformative moments when your brain goes, whoa, wow. Already talked about it. Social connections, reducing loneliness, enhancing pro-social cooperation, promoting social bonding. Arousal and stress reduction, right? So could be arousal. Art activity could actually pep you up a bit. It can make you feel more energized. It can also help reduce stress levels. So that's the arousal and stress. And then last, kind of one of my favorite ones, behavior. So arts participation increases self-control, it enhances moral imagination, and it decreases egocentrism because it helps us think about the wider world, our place in the wider world, but the wider world. So I like to think about my own experience of being in the high school in the marching band. Anybody here in a marching band in high school? Yes, high school marching band. It was great, right? So you're in there, the music's upbeat, you're feeling really positive, right? Like that music is so great. Emotion. Also, maybe you're the drummer. I don't know. I'm going to use the drummer. You're drumming, you're kind of getting into a flow state as the music's going on. So now we've got the emotion, we've got the cognition. Also, your breathing's going to be more regulated, right? The marching, the music, this is impacting your automatic responses. So arousal and stress gets brought into the picture. Also, behavior, self-regulation. You're in a band, you're marching in formation, you're keeping time. So behavior comes right into it. And finally, you're in a band. You have bandmates. If you're in a marching band, you're all wearing silly hats. Social connection, right? So here we have our own little array of these benefits. And the great thing about art is that it doesn't have to hit on every single point when you're looking at your art activity. It only has to hit on a few, right? For marching band, this might be your constellation right here. For my experience in the hospital, see if I can get there, might have looked more like this, right? Emotion around less, you right? Happy, more happy, less stress, those social connections. So it might have been a constellation of just 3 stars. The important thing to understand about making your own constellation here is it doesn't have to be all of them. It can only be 1 or 2 or 3. But what you need to know is that the art in your life right now is already having these health impacts. This is already happening. All right. So we're going to take a look. We're going to do a little work together. I've got a couple of slides. We're going to look at an art activity, and I want you to tell me what you think the benefits are, what the constellation for that particular art activity is. Okay, ready? All right, here we go. Wheaton Arts, they have a program where they do glass blowing, right? So you see on the other side, these are the different things that can be benefiting. So anybody want to shout out one of the benefits you think are happening here? Social connections, great. Anything else? Yeah. Oh, arousal and stress, learning a new skill. That's great.
Emotion and emotion regulation.
Emotion and emotion regulation. That's great. Yeah.
Sense of self.
A sense of self. Yeah, a lot of autonomy, working with hot glass. Right. So that's great. Like we've come up with a number of great things, and we could probably go on and on, just happening in this one activity. Here's another one, Main Stage Center for the Arts. They have theater programs for kids. Here's one, the kids are like all learning a routine, it looks like they're dancing. So what's going on here? What do you think the health benefits are?
Emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation,
So the
social connection,
behavior.
behavior, working together, behavior. So again, already the health impacts are there. You can see them and you can say them out loud. So once we see and say, once we can really learn that part of it, then if you're an artist or you're working, co-creating arts activities for people, you can start to think about how you can improve what you're learning, what you're doing. And the way to do that is to create a space for an individual to have these deep and meaningful experiences. So I'm going to say this, right? As an artist or as someone who's helping to co-create art activities for folks, you are setting a table. You're relying on the person who's coming to fulfill the other part of the role, right? You can't force them to have a great art experience. You really, really can't. They have to come. That's why it's a co-creation, because you're bringing part of it, they're bringing the other part of it. I had the really great good fortune in March of this year to go to the UK and spend 7 days embedded with a theater company. And I went there because I had taken a workshop with them here in the US, and I was amazed at how thoughtfully they were creating a space for individuals to have deep and meaningful experience. Now, I said they're a theater company. They're actually a non-verbal masked theater company. They do productions where they wear masks, they don't say words. So they are very strongly into nonverbal communication that doesn't even rely on facial, any kind of facial expression, right? So that's really their focus. So it was really impactful for me to spend that time with them. So I'm going to share some of the lessons I learned when I was with them on how to create a space for individuals to have deep and meaningful experiences. First, purposeful entry. When someone enters the room, you don't know what they're bringing with them, right? Again, could be really bad traffic, could be that they had an interaction with a family member that's really weighing heavy on their mind. So you want to try to remove any friction that you can that's within your power to remove from their entry. You want to make them feel welcome with intention, with deep intention. And you want your staff to be trained, to be attuned to these nonverbal cues as people are walking in the door, because they might not always tell you. They might tell you, but they might not always tell you how they're feeling. So here's Vamos Theater. And you can see they're working with people with very complex needs. And the staff person is down on her knees so that she can meet one of her participants eye to eye. She is really welcoming her, and she's really like allowing this participation. This participant happens to be limited sight. So the participant's actually using her hands to make a connection with the staff person's face so that they have that kind of moment of really understanding one another. The other thing that I will say about Vamos Theater is that they practice a lot with mirroring. It's something that they're very, very thoughtful and about, so that as they are doing the practice of the theater practices, and even entry, they will very consciously mirror what is happening with their people that are coming in, their participants. So they are very, very thoughtful about those things. Low pressure opening. They always start with streamers or balloons so that people can get used to being in the room together. They can have some moments of back and forth of interaction that are fun, right? Like play. Very low pressure, very low stress, so that no one's intimidated when they're coming in. So that is how Vamos Theater works with purposeful entry. And anybody can think about entry. It could be something that's not even on this list, but all of us can think about entry. We can take one thing about entry and just test it, try to improve it, really be intentional about it, and start to make a difference. Then participation. So Vamos Theater, masked theater company, they're getting ready here to do a performance that the two of their staff members are going to put on, but they're not just going to do the performance. No, they have an older character and they have a younger character. They're going to go around with the masks, and they're going to have people choose which of the older characters is going to show up here. right? So they're going around and they're asking, which mask? Which mask do you like? They also go around with clothes. What costume? Which do you think? Which would you like to see today? Sometimes the participants try on the costumes themselves, right? It's very fun. And so very early on, for their own performance, they're letting people choose how they're showing up. People are making choices that are co-creating what the people are going to see. It's good. It helps people join in right away. They also, I didn't show it here in the slide, but they also allow the people, the participants, to handle the masks themselves, to try them on, to get a sense of it. And they also allow multiple entry points. So once they finish doing their presentation, they allow, sometimes people want to act, they want to come in to the dialogue that they've set up between the two characters. So they allow that. They have people come in, they interact with them within the scene. So they just like bring them into the scene and continue the activity. So really allowing participation at whatever level it is showing up in the room. Then finally, making the connection at the end. I call this the integration point. How can people integrate the experience into themselves, right? You need to give a little time for that. So Vamos Theater, you can see they have a start and end check-in. So they have these like faces. You can see it maybe not really well, but it says well-being check right on top. They have these faces. Over here, you can just barely see them. They have little pictures of each of the participant with their photo and their name. And the people come in and they take them off and they put them onto how they're feeling, right? Then at the end, they come back and they do it again. And it's interesting. So, as you know, these folks have complex needs. They might come in excited, right? Then they have an hour of activity, and some of them, when they left, would go out tired because they had expended so much energy, which is fine, right? That's fine. It's good to know as the coordinator. You don't have to have everybody coming out like super happy. It's okay if they're tired, right? You're just like allowing them kind of that check-in with themselves so that you know where they started and where they landed, but so they know is really the more important thing. So they're having that moment to kind of reflect on where they were when they started and where they were when they ended. Vamos also always has time for refreshments. It's in the UK. This one happened around tea time. So they did a whole tea in advance of the opening. They came in, everybody had their tea. There were like biscuits for us to eat. And so like we all had that moment, and it was wonderful. A lot of conversation, getting to know people, checking in how they were from last time they saw them. And then finally, just having this ethical voice and visibility. So making sure you have, for us in the arts, consent-based showing of art products, right? You don't want to take something and show it if you haven't gotten permission. Making sure that sharing is optional, it's not required, but if you'd like to share, please do. But if you want to sit there quietly, that's great too. So these are really important things. So again, you don't have to do all of these all at once, but picking one, testing it, seeing how it works, it allows you to very intentionally improve the health benefits. This is the Greater South Jersey. I love this picture because like you have all of these people, right? It's a chorus. They all know their place. They've all bought in. They're all getting the benefits. And this is kind of what you're doing. You're orchestrating all of these different, if you're co-creating art activities, you are basically orchestrating people to show up, they know what their role is, they feel very comfortable in it, and you're able to get a really great result, not only a beautiful artistic result, but really impactful personal results for the people participating. All right, so I had made a promise to you at the beginning of this that you'd be able to communicate health impacts, some of the research that we did, Hopefully you'll be able to dig into it even some more, and you'll be able to say with confidence what the health impacts are of art. See the health impacts that are already happening. You know, we did that together. So now you can take that list, you can go and you can say, these are identifiable health impacts that are already happening in the arts that I'm doing or the art that I'm co-creating. And finally, figuring out ways to strengthen those impacts, which we just talked about. So you have all of these things to go back out into the community and share to help strengthen the health impacts of art.